Okay, let's solve proportions today. Now, let's just look at this first problem. I'm going to show you kind of two different ways to look at it, but let's just look at this as any other one-step equation that we've done before. So on the left side where the variable is, I've just got x over 4. Well, that means x divided by 4, so we know how to solve that. Let's just multiply the 4 to the other side. So if I just bring the 4 across the line, change the sign, multiply it over, I'm just going to have x equals, well, what's 25 times 4? 25 times 4 is going to be 100, and 100 divided by 20, that's going to be 5. So this answer is going to be 5. So that's how we can solve it like a one-step equation that we have been doing. But this is also a special kind of one-step equation, a special kind of equation, where we've got two fractions that are equal to each other. And anytime you have two fractions that are equal to each other, that's called a proportion. Now, you probably already know how to solve proportions. You've done basic proportions that you've been solving since elementary school, and today we're going to get harder, but let's start easy. If you remember right, the way you were probably taught in elementary school is to cross multiply. So, with a proportion, 4 times 25 equals x times 20. So if we write this down, x times 20, that's just the same thing as 20 times x. And on the red side, we've got 4 times 25. Okay, well, we know how to solve this one. How do we solve that for x? All we have to do, that's 20 times x, so let's just divide by 20. And let's see what we've got. So on the left side, 4 times 25 is 100, divided by 20 is 5. So you can see we kind of had thought about it two different ways, but we got the same answer. And if you noticed right, I even said the same words. We took the exact same steps no matter how we were thinking about it. 4 times 25 divided by 100. So it's really not going to be that tough. Now in this next one, we've got the exact same thing. We've got two fractions that are equal to each other. That's a proportion. And we've got an x, but the x is in a different spot, but it doesn't change our rules. It's still going to be the same thing. We're going to cross multiply. That times that is equal to that times that. All right, so on the right side, we'll have 4 times 45. And on the left side, we're going to have 15 times x. Now, I think maybe I'll just clean this up a little bit first. 4 times 45, that's, I think, is going to be 180. 180. So I've got 15 times x equals 180. No sweat. All we got to do is divide this. One-step equation, divide the 15 over. We're going to get x equals, I think this is going to be 12. X equals 12. Let's do some more, and let's get a little bit more difficult. So, proportion still. So I know this times this is equal to this times this. So let's look at this. 12 times 18 is equal to 3x times 24. Okay, so now 12 times 18, I'm going to use my calculator to help me out with this. 12 times 18 is going to be 200. Whoops. 16. 216. And on the right side, 3x times 24, well, that's just going to be 72x. We can solve this, no problem. Divide both sides by 72, and we're going to get 3 is equal to x. Okay, so, and let's see what that means. Let's just pause here for a second. If I put 3 back in here for x, 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So we've got 9 over 12 equals 18 over 24. Is that true? Well, sure it is. If we'd reduce both sides of this, we would end up getting on the left side 3 over 4 if I divide both of those by 3. And on the right, if I reduce that fraction, if I divide both of these by 6, I'm going to get 3 over 4. So we've got 3/4 equals 3/4. Well, that's pretty cool. So anyway, that answer on the top is going to be x equals 3. Let's look at this next one. Once again, ooh, this one is harder because this time we've got 2 x's in there. But it's a proportion, 2 fractions that are equal. The rules stay the same. All we have to do is cross multiply. So let's see this. We've got 5x times 12 is equal to 4x times 8. So let's see what this is going to be. We have 5 times 12 is going to be 60x. And on the right side, 4x times 8 is going to be 32x. And you know what? This is just going to come out to something that just doesn't work. If we solve this, subtract the 32x over 28x equals 0. That's just going to be x equals 0. And normally x equals 0 would be an okay answer, but here in this problem, it's going to be no good, no bueno, because if we put a 0 in for the x, 5 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, and we can't divide a number by 0. So this one is actually going to be an interesting one where there is no solution. Absolutely nothing that we put in for x is going to work. Let's see something else. Let's look at this one. This one, whew. The last one didn't work. I don't know if this one's going to work. This seems much harder, but let's go down this road and see if it works out. Okay, so we've got two different fractions that are equal, so I know that that's a proportion, and I know that to solve a proportion, we just are going to cross multiply. Okay, so let's see. So we've got 5 times, make sure we write this using the parentheses so we see the distributive property here. 5 times 2x minus 7 is equal to 6 times 3x plus 4. And let's erase this just so we can see. So the 5 times the 2x plus 7 right there, and the 6 times the 3x plus 4 right there. Let's distribute this. 5 times 2x is going to be 10x, and 5 times negative 7 is going to be negative 35. On the right, we've got 6 times 3x, that's 18x, and we've got 6 times 4, that's going to be 24. Okay, I got this. I just have variables on both sides. I just got to go letters left, numbers right, cross the line, change the sign, right? So let's take this 18x over and let's subtract the 18x. And maybe let's take the 35 and add it over, cross the line, change it to a positive 35. So what do we have? On the left side, 10x minus 8x. That's going to be a negative 8x. And on the right, 24 plus 35, that's going to be 59. Okay. Last step, divide both sides by negative 8. Divide the negative 8 over. X equals, so this is not going to reduce very well. Actually, kind of not at all. So our answer is just going to be 59 over 8 negative. Negative 59 over 8. So I know that looks kind of funny, but if we put that in for x in both of these up here, we're actually going to see that those two fractions are going to be equal. All right? Let's see. I believe we have one more. This is a pretty cool application. All right? Let's say that we've got a tree, something really tall that we want to measure, but I can't really get up in the top of that tree and run a tape measure down. It's way too tall for that. So watch what we can do with a proportion. A 3-foot yardstick casts a 5-foot shadow. At the same time, a tree casts a 65-foot shadow. How tall is the tree? So let me draw a picture of this. So we've got a 3-foot yardstick that casts a 5-foot shadow. At the same time, we've got a big tree, much bigger than this, that casts a 65-foot shadow. What is the height of the tree? Okay, what is the height of the tree? Well, let's just make a proportion here. Now, there's lots of different ways to set this up, but here's what I like to do. I like to do the two that I know first. I know the 3 and the 5. So I'm going to put this over here, 3 feet over 5 feet, 3 feet tall over a 5-foot shadow. And this tree is X feet tall and 65-foot shadow. Now, there's lots of different ways to set this up, but one thing that I do, I always keep my shadows on the bottom because shadows are on the ground, right? Shadows fall on the ground, so I kind of put mine down on the bottom, at the length of the shadow on the bottom. Now, let's see what we can do with this. It's a proportion, so we can just cross multiply. I know that 5 times x is going to be equal to 3 times 65. So let's see, this is going to be 5x equals 195. And let's just divide this. Divide the 5 over, and x is going to be equal to, what's this going to be? 39, it looks like. X is 39. So what that means is that tree is going to be 39 feet tall. Pretty cool. We measured a tree without even being there. All right, so proportions, two fractions that are equal to each other. All you have to do is cross multiply. Very good. Good luck.